In my last video, where I recap all the events of the Black Whale, I said, Illumi and Kaluto, however, were spotted by soldiers on Tier 3 during a lockdown while said soldiers were searching for a stowaway with a deadly weapon. Except that it's not really Illumi and Kaluto, it's almost definitely Hisoka and Kaluto. Using his newly upgraded bungee gun powers, it seems that Hisoka has done something sus and shapeshifted into a Phantom Troop crewmate. And in this video, I'm going to explain how I know that this is true.
But before I get into that, a quick disclaimer. I do have subscription Tourette's, so if I ever randomly subscribe, bitch, like that, then I apologise in advance, as I really can't help it. Prick! Hit the bell, you wanker! Where was I? Ah, yes,
Illumi's sussy secret. Aboard the Black Whale, Illumi claims that Hisoka hired the Zoldyck assassin to kill Hisoka. And this is very believable, as it's totally a thing that Hisoka would do, which is exactly why it works so well as an excuse to hide the fact that this Illumi is actually Hisoka himself. You see, when Kaluto and Illumi were caught checking out Tier 3's observation deck, Illumi displayed some very out of character traits, the kinds that would be very in character for Hisoka. Most notable of which, he used very suspicious pronouns. And no, I don't mean the he, she, they type pronouns that we have in English, referring to another person, but in Japanese there are various pronouns one can use when referring to themselves, and they are not gender limited, but also take into consideration one's age, politeness, social status, and even the context of the situation. It isn't as simple as I and me. The most common of which are watashi, boku, and ore. Watashi is generally female unless used in formal situations. Boku is more of a young boy's thing to say and has an air of cheekiness if used inappropriately. And then there's ore, which is a more casual word for men to use. As you can imagine, Illumi is the most unplayful character in the series. He's constantly serious, tense, and trying to manipulate someone in order to gain something. A real sociopath, or even psychopath. As such, he's well acquainted with the term ore. Under the right circumstances, you could just about imagine him using watashi if speaking with someone it was really worth respecting. I'd believe what I was seeing if he said watashi when speaking with Silver, Zeno, Isaac, or Crollo, but on no planet, in no universe, would he ever use boku. And yet that's exactly what he did. And boku, as I'm sure you've guessed, is Hisoka's favourite way to say I. On the topic of out-of-character speech, it's also worth mentioning that Illumi referred to Hisoka's supposed assassination terms as including a prenup as an engagement ring. Inserting a gay romance joke into his speech is also a very Hisoka thing to do, and not at all an Illumi thing to do. In fact, Hisoka's done it before. In case you fellow non-Japanese didn't catch that, Hisoka once held his thumb when making a comment to Illumi about Killua, which is kinda like the Japanese opposite of no homo, or in this case, think I can plug your little brother's shitter? Psych! Anyway, the next major out-of-character thing Illumi has done is ask for a room with a shower in it. And in case you don't think that's weird, because, you know, everyone needs a shower, this is the same guy who slept in a dirt hole. And on the Black Whale, you'd just kind of expect there to be showers around. The only criminal vain enough to specifically want to guarantee that there will be a nice steamy shower is Hisoka. Lastly, Illumi's adopted a new fashion choice of wearing knee pads. Now yes, one could argue, you know, Illumi went from a light Yagami wannabe to a street performer stealing nearly all of Hisoka's style. Hisoka wears a short sleeve crop top, Illumi wears a short sleeve crop top. Hisoka has a bedsheet wrapped around his waist, Illumi has a bedsheet wrapped around his waist. Hisoka has signature clown things on his chest and belt, Illumi has signature puppeteer things on his chest and belt. But knee pads? Now? How would that conversation go? Hey Illumi, I just had a fight with Crollo. I wore knee pads and everything, but I still lost. Knee pads, huh? Think you can, hook me up? Anyway, so I'm having this big horny purge on the Black Whale, and I'd really hate it if you weren't there, so was thinking of paying you to participate? Yeah, sure, I can do that. So about those knee pads though. It just doesn't seem right. By the way, this is off topic, but Illumi's copying of Hisoka's style is a very psychopathic thing to do. Not having well calibrated emotions of their own, psychopaths mimic other people to try and fit in. Illumi choosing this eccentric weirdo to mimic is actually really creepy, because it shows just how disconnected, unaware, and non-shit-giving he is. Social status doesn't matter to him, he just wants to act the role of the killer that he is, even if that means walking around in a green crop top. What a nutjob. Anyway, this isn't much of a theory now, as Togashi has pretty much confirmed it with a couple of clues dropped on the manga covers. He stuck Illumi right in the middle of the troop here, as the only member with no lips. and carrying a flower to indicate that he killed or will kill whoever these other 3 flowers represent, as they're pretty much gravestones. And then there's this pair of juicy red lips with spoiler written below it. Now this odd one out clue is a trick Togashi has used before, giving away Pariston and Sayu's betrayal by having them be the only Zodiacs with their hands behind their backs. So again, this is pretty much a confirmation and an admittance on Togashi's part, unless someone wants to make the argument that Illumi is impersonating Hisoka out of an ever-increasing admiration for him before killing him, or helping him kill the troop, I guess? But that's unlikely. So here's what I think happened. Hisoka thought the black whale looked a bit like Airship. This inspired him to play a game of Among Us with the Phantom Troop. Hisoka shapeshifted into Illumi. He then went to the viewing deck to do his upload. He also took Karuto along and marinated him. A meeting was called, Hisoka's story didn't add up, and now he's going to claim MedScan and go on a killing spree before he gets voted off. See any problems with that theory? I think not. By the way, before I go, let us pay a little respect to the fact that Bungee gum has the properties of both rubber and gum. And because of that...
Subscribe, you piece of shit!